Hello there everyone and welcome to John Drinks, the channel where I, John, have a drink. And today I'm not actually going to be drinking anything. I'm going to be telling you about an initiative. You might have heard about it already. The Online Scotch Whisky Awards for 2022 are happening because it's 2022 and it's towards the end of the year. That's kind of the best time to do these things. And I am one of the 56 people that were asked to help out this year. So I got to go through some whiskies and be like, that's a nice one, that's a nice one, that's also a nice one. Very indecisive like that. But help I did, and we have a shortlist through various categories. Some slightly tweaked from last year, if you remember the inaugural year of this. And obviously there's a lot more voices this year. I mean, for starters, they threw me in there, so, they've really dropped the standard this year, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way. But, yeah, commentators from all across the place. So it's not just YouTube this time, if you've got a blog or a podcast, or you write for magazines, or you're an industry bigwig, that kind of a thing. So the main thing being that you don't have a conflict of interests, basically, for want of a better way of putting it. So, you're not accepting a suitcase of money from Glenn whoever to say, vote for this one. Basically, that's the idea. The idea behind these awards is it's transparent and it's consumer focused. So it's not about going to a tent in Scarborough or wherever they host these things. Scarborough's a very strange place for me to have chosen there. Wherever they do it. And you have a panel of judges and you put your best foot forward, because of course you're going to, because you're after the medal. You're not going to put your knackered pony with only 3 legs in the race, You're going to go with your best thing. And it might not even be a case that that is what is going to be on the shelves later in the year. It does happen sometimes. And sometimes you do also just get it with some nominations where you just kind of like, really, that one? I'm not saying the shenanigans in awards, I'm not involved in all those other kind of things, but the idea behind this is that if you can't buy it off the shelf with your own money, you haven't tried it, don't put it forward, basically. So these are all things that people have tried, they've bought with their own money, they've drank, they've enjoyed, and they think that they are a fantastic representation of the whisky sphere in the space year 2022. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the nominations for this year. If you want to vote, you've got until October 16th. There'll be a link down below. I encourage you to spread the word on this. The more contributions that get put forward for this, the more democratic it is, basically. The more we have a focus group, essentially, of whiskey-minded folk saying, this is what I like. And do you know what? I'm gearing for a few surprises this year. It'd be nice if we're kind of like, oh, what? Oh, okay, hello. Because I've got in my head a few which I'm like, that's going to take it, that's definitely going to take it. But I want to be shocked and surprised, because life's an interesting thing like that. It's more unusual. So let's get into the nominations. So our first category is for Best Value Whisky 2022, and we start with the Isle of Arran 10-year-old, 46%. You can get a bottle for about 38 quid, so it says on the nominations. Next up is Boonhaven 12-year-old, 46.3%, £44. Glencadam 10-year-old, 46%, ABV, £36. Kilkerran 12-year-old, 46%, and you can get a bottle of that for about 50 quid. Laichik 10-year-old, 46.3% again, £42. And lastly, Loch Lomond 12-year-old, 46%, £44. I'm not going to be passing judgment on any of these, so if you were kind of looking for my blow-by-blow commentary, I'm not going to do that, because I don't want to sort of skew anything. So I don't want to be like, oh, that's a really good one. I don't want to do that, because that's not fair. I will talk about my own thoughts on this once the awards are done, but I don't want to do it whilst it's an active process, because that's not fair. I mean, I don't see myself as having a massive influence, more of a drag, if anything it would be, but I don't see myself as having a huge influence on that, but in the interest of fair play. Next up is Best Blended Whisky of 2022, and we start with the Black Bottle Blended Whisky, 40% ABV, £22. Moving on to Compass Box Great King Street Artist Blend, Blended Scotch, 43%, £36 a bottle. The Cutty Sark Prohibition Edition, blended Scotch, 50%, £24. Nika from the Barrel blended whisky, 51.4%, £42, and that's for a 50 centilitre bottle. Thompson Brothers 6-year-old TB/BSW blended Scotch whisky, 46% ABV, £34, and a really catchy name. White's Heather 15-year-old blended Scotch whisky, 46% ABV, £58. Moving on to Best Blended Malt Whisky, so the same category as before but without the grain. And we start with Campbelltown Lock Blended Malt, 46%, £40. Compass Box Orchid House Blended Malt, 46% ABV, £42. Another Compass Box for the Peat Monster, 46%, £46. Johnny Walker Green Label 15-year-old, 43%, £47. Thompson Brothers SRV5, another catchy title, 8-year-old blended malt, 48.5% ABV, £35. And lastly, Douglas Lang Timorous Beastie, specifically their Meet the Beast edition at 52.5% ABV, and that's £69. Nice. The fourth category is Best Non-Malt Whisky of 2022. I should quickly say this is not a gin category or anything like that, it's world whiskies, basically. And basically anything that doesn't come into the malt category, as we shall see shortly. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Bourbon, 60%, that's £120. The Four Roses Single Barrel 100 Proof, 50% ABV, £45. Another Loch Lomond Single Grain Peated at 46% ABV, £27. The Redbreast 12-year-old Cask Strength, that's 56.3% ABV, £79. And then a couple of Wild Turkeys. First we have the Wild Turkey 101 Kentucky Straight Bourbon, 50.5% ABV at £33. And secondly we have the Wild Turkey Rare Breed Kentucky Straight Bourbon, 58.4% ABV, and that will set you back £55. Moving on from bottles to distilleries, we have the Best Distillery of 2022. And the nominations in alphabetical order, in case you hadn't noticed that's how we're listing them already. Start with Ardnam Merkin Distillery in the Western Highlands. We have the Isle of Arran, brackets Lacranza Distillery, the Western Highlands. We have Bruichladdich Distillery in Islay. We have Glen Scotia Distillery from Campbelltown. We've got Loch Lomond Distillery from the Southern Highlands. And we have Springbank Distillery, also from Campbelltown. 6 is Best New Distillery. So this is any distillery that started up in the last 10 years. So as these awards evolve, there'll be certain distilleries which become too old for this category, basically. Sort of like the day where you couldn't go in the creche anymore because you were too old. 27 was a hard year for me. We begin with Ardnam Merkin Distillery again, the Western Highlands. We have Bimber Distillery from London in England. We have the Cotswolds Distillery from Cotswolds in England. We've got the Glasgow Distillery from Glasgow in the Lowlands, brackets Scotland in case you needed that spelled out. We've got the Isle of Raasay Distillery, the Western Highlands. And we have Torre Vague from the Western Highlands as well. 7, Best Independent Bottler of 2022. And the nominations are Adelphi Selection, Gordon and MacPhail, North Star Spirits, Signatory Vintage, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, or the SMWS if you prefer acronyms, and we have Thompson Brothers. 8, Best World Whisky. This is what I was talking about earlier and I got myself a little bit confused. This is the World Whisky category, so anything that is not Scotch whisky. And the nominations are the Cotswolds English Single Malt Whisky, 46% ABV, £39. Dingle Single Malt Irish Whisky, 46.3% ABV, that's £52. The Cavalan Solist Vino Barrique, 56.3% ABV, and that's a chunky 200 plus pounds that you'll pay for that one. We have the Old Forest 1920 Prohibition Style Bourbon, 57.5% ABV, 80 plus pounds. We have Powers John Lane, 12-year-old single pot still Irish, 46%, £59. And we have the Redbreast 15-year-old single Irish malt, Single pot still Irish whiskey, I should say. 46% ABV, £76. Category number 9, the big guns. We have the best Scotch whisky of 2022. This is the best stuff in the known universe. And the nominations are Annock, 18-year-old, single malt at 46%, £94. Ardnamurchan and Cask Strength Single Malt Scotch, 58.7%, £65. The Bunnahabhain 12-year-old Single Malt, 46.3% ABV, £44. The Glen Scotia Victoriana, 54.2% ABV, £65. The Kilkerran 16-year-old Single Malt, 46% ABV, £69. I'm not saying it twice. And lastly, the Leitchik 18 Single Malt, 46.3% ABV, £85. Those are the nominations. Don't leave your thoughts down in the comments down below, because again, I'm paralysed with paranoia about skewing this accidentally. So don't tell us what you voted for and all the rest of it. All shall be revealed on the night. You can also click a reminder for the live stream on November the 5th. There'll be a link down to that as well. I hope you'll join me in seeing in what gets the winners. I'm very excited to see which gets it. For now, though, thank you very much for joining me. Do sign up to the OSWAs and do make sure that you get your voice heard if you're interested in these things. But if you are a whiskey drinker of any sort, you should have a say in this. Obviously, if you don't have anything to say, you can skip categories and X, Y, and Z. But the more that you contribute, then the better an idea we get on what is the best whiskey in the known universe for 2022. Because that's the idea behind this. Thank you very much for watching. Do vote. And do join me next time, where I'll be drinking something.